and some of the sequence data types. So as part of sequence data types, we discussed about um,
Lists.
strings, Unicode strings, and lists. Okay, and while discussing about the Unicode, so I was telling, so the limitation of ASCII is 256 characters. So one correction, that is actually 128 characters, because so ASCII value ranges from 0 to 127, not 0 to 255. Okay, that's one correction. Okay, so and I want to add few more things. Okay, especially which is useful for your campus interviews. So that is the concept called as internationalization. Okay, so especially, so when you develop applications, so especially web-based applications, so or not only web-based applications which are heterogeneous as well. Okay, so what are heterogeneous applications? Any idea, students? Students, any idea what are heterogeneous applications? Abhinav?
More than one applications.
No, no, not like that. See, heterogeneous application means, say for example, so there is a bank. Okay, for example, SBI, State Bank of India. So they have their own application, isn't it? They have their own banking software. At the same time, so you can transfer money from any bank account to any of your bank account to your SBI account. Similarly, any of your friends can also transfer money to your account, provided that you have given your account number and the IFSC code, isn't it? But here, one thing is to be observed. Here, we cannot assume that your SBI application is developed using Java and your friend's banking application, that is also developed using Java, isn't it? We cannot assume like that. In between, there is something called as the gateway, payment gateway, isn't it? So like we have service providers like Visa, MasterCard, okay, Rupai, and so on. Okay, so that means the heterogeneous applications means they are the applications which can communicate with different objects. Say for example, one Java object can communicate with .NET object. One .NET object can communicate with Python object. So that means, so even though the applications are not developed using similar tools and technologies, but still they are capable of communicating. Such applications are called as heterogeneous applications. And also another name that we call is that enterprise level applications. Even the enterprise level applications are also heterogeneous. Okay, I'll give you one example for enterprise level application. Have you heard about Tata Enterprises? Hello? Hello students, have you heard about Tata Enterprises?
Yes, sir.
Sunil? Okay, so tell me which are all the companies that comes under the umbrella of Tata Enterprises? Can you name a few?
Car company,
Ah,
and we have
so we have plenty of companies, isn't it? Under the same umbrella, we have plenty of companies. Say, for example, we have one minute, sir, key ला लिया हमने. 1 minute, students. Yeah. ಇಲ್ಲ sir. Okay, students, under Tata Enterprises, we have Tata Motors, Jaguar, that is one more subsidiary of Tata Motors. We have Titan. Okay, we have Tanishq Jewelers. We have Tanishq Jewelers, and we have Tata Consumers. We have Tata Coffee. Okay, and so on. So that means, so to maintain the flow of funds between all these companies at the enterprise level, Tata may have one application, isn't it? They may be having one application. So, and another thing here is that at the same time, each of its subsidiary, that is Tata Motors, Jaguars, Titan, Tanishq Jewelers, Fast Track, all these companies also belong to Java. They also will be having their own applications, and we cannot expect that all the applications of Tata are developed by TCS and they are using only Java, isn't it? Some modern applications may be developed using Python, and some older applications might have been developed by using Java or PHP or something like that. But still, they are able to communicate. So that means to achieve communication with all those applications at the enterprise level, they may have one application, isn't it? So that means we need to understand whenever we say enterprise level application, so most of the times they are heterogeneous. That means they are capable of communicating with other applications which are also developed maybe by using the same technology or some other technology. And here, what is that in between technology that plays a crucial role in helps to achieve communication between dissimilar objects. Okay, and one more concept I want to tell you here is internationalization. The concept of internationalization is also called as I18N. So I means, so the internationalization starts with a letter I in between 18 characters, and at the end we have N, and we call it as internationalization. Okay, so what is that? What is that all about? Is that it's all about achieving the language level compatibility. Say for example, see, most of the times when you open some website, say for example VTU website, now by default it will open in Kannada, and at the same time there will be an option wherein you can choose English so that the website will be displayed in English. Similarly, if you go to Google, you can search Google in many languages. You can search in Kannada, you can search in Hindi, you can search in Telugu, you can search in Tamil, English, French, whatever the language you want. Okay, to support all these things, there is something called as internationalization. Okay, there is some standard which will help to identify all the characters. Let it be Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Urdu, Hindi, any language. So it can identify 137,000 characters. Okay, that means 1,37,000 characters it can identify. So that is, what is that? That is Unicode. Okay, now the capacity of Unicode is that in total it can identify up to 1,37,000 characters. Now what is the limitation of ASCII? Just 128 characters, ranging from value 0 to 127. So what are those 128 characters that ASCII can identify? ASCII can identify all the English alphabets, numbers, and what are all the special characters that you see on your keyboard, special symbols. So it includes total of 128 characters. Okay, so to overcome this, ISO, that is International Standardization Organization, they came up with some standard, that is ISO standard, and they came up with ISO 8859-1. So that is also one more standard which can be used, okay, to develop or to achieve internationalization. That means you develop one application in some language and you can convert it into similar. Say for example, you have developed an application in English, you can convert it into Kannada, you can convert it into Tamil. Okay, because okay, in different geographical areas, different types of people will be using, and we cannot assume that every person knows English. So for that reason, this internationalization is very, very important. Keep in your mind whenever you do any project, try to implement this I18N, that is internationalization. That is all about making your application available for various users, okay, in various languages. Okay, that is the concept of internationalization. So now I think now you got an idea why Unicode has become more important. And another very important thing is that until Python 2.x, okay, the default encoding standard is the default encoding standard was ASCII. Okay, so that was a default encoding standard until Python 2.x. But from Python 3.x onwards, the default encoding format for Python is UTF-8. That is Unicode text format 8. 8 means 8-bit encoding. So how this UTF-8 will work, or UTF or this Unicode will work? So this Unicode will create an equivalent Unicode. It will create Unicode for each of the character. Okay, so it may take from 1 byte to 4 bytes of space. Okay, it may take minimum 1 byte to maximum 4 bytes to encode each character. Okay, so when it has encoded, we call it as Unicode. Okay, so now later I'll show you with example. Okay, how it will look like. Okay, so then we need to understand one more thing. So when we should use ASCII and when we should use Unicode or ISO 8859-1. I think you all have written HTML and XML programs, isn't it? Students, do you agree? Every one of you has written both HTML and XML programs. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So while writing the XML, you are writing one statement: encoding is equal to ISO 8859-1 or UTF-8. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So why you are writing that? Tell me.
Sir, for Unicode transformation.
Yeah. Okay. Why you are writing ISO 8859-1?
Sir, it is a standard.
Yeah.
According
So
to
what
that
happens?
standard,
So there, instead of that, if you specify ASCII, what happens?
sir, it start converting through ASCII characters.
Hmm.
Yeah, sir. Instead of Unicode, it takes like ASCII characters.
Here, okay. So here you need to understand the underlying technicality. So as I told, so you see XML can deal with binary data as well. Okay, it can deal with structured info, structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data. Whatever the data you say, XML can encode. Am I right? Just because it will use UTF standards and ISO standards. Okay, that is the main reason. And another reason that we need to understand is, so whenever we store information in the file, say in the computer, it will be stored in the form of bytes. Okay, that means even though you are using UTF-8 as a standard for encoding, it will just encode, but how it will be transferred from one place to another place over a network, it will be transferred in terms of bytes. Okay, at that time it will be converted into bytes and it will be transferred. Okay, and another thing that you need to understand is, while storing, everything will be interpreted in terms of bytes. Okay, everything will be interpreted in terms of bytes. Okay, then you need to understand what is Unicode. Unicode is nothing but equivalent value given by Unicode for each character. Unicode is nothing but just like the ASCII equivalent value. So it's a Unicode value given for each character. Okay, so with this, okay, let us start with idle. Okay, first I'll share my screen. Okay, students, now you want any clarification about what is Unicode and why we use it? You know, right? What is Unicode, why we use it, and what is the concept of internationalization? The concept of internationalization is all about making your application available in different languages. Okay, that is internationalization. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yesterday now we need to see Okay, the examples for the concepts that we understood yesterday. Okay, first let us check how to check the type of an variable. Say for example, I'll initialize x is equal to 10. So what kind of variable it is?
Integer.
Integer. So what is the proof that it is an integer? I'll check it by using type function. Type of x. Okay, its class name is int. That means it's an variable that belongs to integer class. Similarly, s is equal to I. Okay, check. Now let us check s belongs to which class type. It belongs to str. Str means string. So that's why you can see here str. That's why I told you while writing a program, for us it has become usual practice while writing C, C++ and Java program, we write str as a local variable. That is a string object, isn't it? So here we should not use str as a variable. Why? Because it is already a string class. It's a keyword. Similarly, so there is one more. How to check a complex variable? Actually, we cannot check complex variable, but you can see. Okay, I'll show you how to use complex. How to use complex constructor? Complex of 5, 8. Look at this. What will be the outcome? 5 plus 8j. That means it is displaying it as a complex variable. So 5 is real number and 8 is what? 8 is what? Imaginary number. Okay. Similarly, if you write complex of 2, minus 12. Okay. So it will be converted into 2 minus 12j. That means x minus iy format. Okay. So here what is complex? Complex is a constructor. What I'm doing here, I am typecasting. I am typecasting the values 2, minus 12 to complex number. Similarly, say I'll take float of 3. See, 3 is what? Actually integer number. 3 is an integer number. Now I want to convert it into float. How to do that? Float of 3. Okay, like this you can use constructors like float, int, okay, long, double, all these things. Okay, we'll see some of the examples. Okay, then string operations, isn't it? Okay, so I'll create s1 is equal to hello. Okay, s1 is equal to space hello. Okay, then s plus s1 if I do hi hello. So earlier we had written, you can see here s is equal to hi. Already I had created one variable s is equal to hi. Now I am creating s1 is equal to space followed by hello. Okay, space is also one character. It's a blank character. So it is combining s1 plus s1. That is hi hello. This is called as string concatenation. So this is an example for how to do string concatenation. Then how to check the length of the string. Length of s plus s1. Just if you do like that, it will show you 9, including blank character. Okay, it is 9. Okay. Okay, now let us see some of the examples to how to deal with Unicode and other things. Okay, first let us see demo on Unicode. Okay, so look at your students. See here, I have a variable, my Unicode string 1 is equal to U followed by high class. So what is this? I want the reply from you people. What is this? If any string starting with U before the double quotes, what it is?
Unicodes.
It's a Unicode string. We call the string as Unicode string. Okay. Now look at the second line here. I have taken one more local variable. My Unicode string 2 is equal to U high, then slash U 0020 and class. What it is? Do you have any idea what it is? No idea, right? Yeah, tell me.
Slash is used for to remove the special meaning of.
Okay. See now, this is a Unicode for blank character. This is a Unicode for blank character. So it is same as high space class. Okay, now you got the idea how the Unicode will look like. Okay, slash U is to indicate that. So now I'm going to indicate Unicode and 0020 is the value. That is the Unicode for blank character. Like that, every character is having Unicode. Okay, now let us see what happens if I print my Unicode string 1 comma my Unicode string 2. Okay, now I'll make remaining lines as comments. How to make them as comments? The line should begin with hash symbol. Now first let us observe. So what is the output of this first 3 lines? Okay, Control S to save, then F5 to run. Okay, so the output is high class space high class. So it is like that. See, anyhow, the value of the first my Unicode string 1 is high class. Okay, then but the value of second string is high. In between there is some code. Okay, why it is not displaying? You need to keep in your mind when you are displaying Unicode by using the print statement, it will not display the Unicode value. Instead, it will display the equivalent character. So the equivalent character of 0020 is blank. So that's why it is displaying high space class. You can see it here. Okay, high space class. See, this is the first portion is my Unicode string 1 and the second portion is my Unicode string 2. Now instead of the 0020 it is displaying the blank character. So that is what I want to convey you. Got it? Students? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if you are displaying the Unicode value using the print statement, instead of the Unicode value it will display its equivalent character. So therefore 0020 is replaced with blank character. Okay. Now I'll remove these comments. Okay, now let us see what is the remainder output. Okay, now say I'm taking one more variable, new Unicode is equal to, I'm writing some Unicode string. Okay, let us see what it is. Then print new Unicode. Okay, let us see what it will do. Okay, let us execute it. F5. Yes. So what it is doing? It is encoding into some other format, isn't it? So therefore, what it is? So therefore, what we have written is what it is doing. What we have written is a Unicode. Okay, XEN4 is a Unicode. Okay, for that it is displaying the equivalent character in the using the print statement. So therefore, the value of new Unicode is AOU, and you can see that dots upon that. So that means they are not the normal English characters. Maybe they are the French characters or some other characters. Okay, so after conversion, it will be displayed as AOU. Now, similarly, I'll remove comments for the last two lines. Let us see what is going to happen. See here, what we are doing here, we are encoding the variable new Unicode into UTF-8 format and storing it in new STR. Okay, so here we are encoding it using UTF-8 format, and we are putting its value. Okay, let us see how it will print. So up to here it is displaying. Okay, so this is UTF-8 format. See, there are three variants of UTF: UTF-8, UTF-16, and UTF-32. For Python 3.x, the default Unicode encoding standard is UTF-8. As I told, for 2.x it is ASCII. Okay, and most of the times we tend to use UTF-8, UTF-16, and UTF-32. So what is the reason behind not using UTF-16 and 32 is that, so say for example, let us assume you are sending one file which contains characters, and most of the characters are English characters or numbers. So that means if we feel that one can feel that even ASCII is good enough for that purpose, but it also contains few special characters which cannot be detected by ASCII. So therefore we may use UTF-8. So compared to UTF-8, UTF-16 consumes more space. Okay, it needs more bytes for encoding. So that's why we don't use UTF-16 and 32. Okay. See here, its equivalent characters are, so this is the outcome after encoding. Did you see this last line? B, then followed by backslash XC3, XA4, XC3, XB6. So that is after executing this. See, after implementing this UTF-8. Now let us assume, okay, now let us replace UTF-8 with UTF-16. Now let us see, the length of that output will be increased because it requires okay, let us see. Okay, 1 minute. Can you see the bottom output? See, compared to this UTF-8, UTF-16 outcome of UTF-16 encoding is bit lengthier. Now similarly use UTF-32, then see what will be the output. It will be even lengthier. That means UTF-32 requires more and more characters to encode. So that means it will keep inserting more Unicode characters. So to avoid that, we use always UTF-8. So for our purpose, UTF-8 is good enough. Okay, students. Now tell me, what is the purpose of using Unicode? See, what happens if you are sending a file from one machine to another machine? So without encoding it, what happens? If somebody hacks the file, they'll get the raw information as it is. So that is the reason why actually we do encoding. Okay, and at the receiving end, it will be decoded. And after decoding the message, they will read it. Okay, that is a different story. So the whole purpose of encoding is to achieve more security to the data that we transfer over the network. So, okay, so when we have non-English characters and special symbols, since we cannot deal with ASCII, we use Unicode, that is Unicode text format. Okay, Unicode UTF-8 is good enough for us. Now let us see one more example of list. List demo. Okay. See, yesterday we saw this example. Okay. Now look at the first line, how to create a list. Give some name, my list. My list is equal to, keep entering the variables. So there is 42, then apple, then there is one Unicode string, that is Unicode apple. Then after that there is one integer 5234656. Okay. Then after that we are trying to print the value of the my list. So after that, after printing the value of the my list, what this my list will do, it will display all the elements in a single shot. Okay. So now here you need to observe the beauty of Python. So if it is C program, how we will display the elements of a list or an array? Iteration manner. We need some looping structure.
Loop.
Yeah, we need a loop. But here it doesn't require any loop to display in one go. So after the second line, look at the third line. In third line, what we are doing, in the second index position, we are inserting banana. So that is, index starts with 0. So at 0th position, we have 42. In 1st position, we have apple. And in the second position, we need to insert this string value. So after that, you need to print my list. After that, once again, in the third index value, you are trying to insert two lists. Instead of elements, we are inserting the list in itself. That means it is also possible for us to create a list within another list. Okay, then it becomes a nested list. Okay, then print the my list value. Now let us execute this and verify the value. Okay, first let us print only up to here. Okay. See, first it is displaying, okay, print my list. So the first line is the outcome of, so this line is the outcome of print my list. It is printing all the values that you have inserted initially. Then after that, in the third line, we are inserting banana in the second index value. So check 0, 1, 2 in the second index value, it is inserting banana. But what is the another thing happened? The bad thing that has happened is it has omitted Unicode apple. That means it is replacing actually. It is not adding. Instead, it is replacing. You need to understand. It is replacing Unicode apple with banana. Okay, then as usual in the third position we have the numeric value. Now okay. Okay, now this is outcome. Now let us see. Now in the third position, let us add one sublist. Okay, now we are making an effort to add list within another list. See here, item 1, 2 is one list and item 3, 4 is another list, and we are combining by using this. You can see here. Okay, so now we have two lists. Okay, to combine both the lists, I am putting one square bracket here and here. That means I am combining two lists. Okay, after combining the two lists, let us see what is the output. Now we are combining two lists. See here, after apple is 0 index, sorry, 1 index, banana is second index, third index, it is inserting the sublist. So that means through this, what we came to know is that when we have a list, if you try to insert values within the list specified index number, it will the element actually what we need to understand. Okay, then actually what is the default sorting rule is that, so whenever we sort, see, even if in Microsoft Excel you can check it out, if you sort a column which contains numbers and string values, the first priority will always be given to numbers and the second priority will be given to string values, which will sorted in alphabetical manner. So we assume like that. Now here also we assume like that. So first it will display 42, then remaining strings will be sorted alphabetical manner. But the property of the list is that when you have dissimilar elements, sort, because sort function is designed in a such a way that it can deal with only similar data. That means all the values must be numbers, all the values must be strings, or all the values must be Unicode strings, like that. So therefore now this should generate an error for us. Let us see whether it will generate or not. Yes, generate an error, because you can see here type error comparison. Hello students, are you observing this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So therefore need to understand where to apply sort and where not to apply sort. In case if you create a list which contains only numbers, then you apply. If you create a list which contains only strings, then also you apply sort, not an issue. But when you have a mixed values, don't apply sort function. Okay, so since it gives error, I'll make it as comment. Okay, now let us see what happens if I apply pop function. Okay, what happens if I apply pop function? Let us see. What is pop?
Removes
Remove.
list.
Okay, so what is removed? Item is removed, because what is the property of stack? Last in, first out. Okay, what is the last in element? Item. So the sublist. So that sublist is been removed. So that's why it is displaying it. Okay, it is displaying the remove element. Okay, so the pop will work. So that means now you know how to add the element and how to remove. Okay, now we'll see one more experiment here. What happens if you try to add an element by using the append function? Okay, my list dot append. Let us see what is going to happen. So I want to add one numeric value 2000. Okay, I'll save the file and I'll execute once again. Okay, so not giving any error. Now I'll give print of my list. Okay. Okay, it is adding. So that means how to add the element? By using append function, by using name of the list dot append followed by the value. So within the append, the parameter is the element what you want to insert. Okay, to delete you can use pop. Okay, now let us see one more way of deleting the element. del, name of the list. Okay, let us assume index 0. Let us see what is going to happen here. print my list. Control S, save, and F5 for run. What has happened? See, look at, see the last bottom line. So it has deleted 42. See, look at the difference between pop and delete function. So what happened when we executed with pop function? It deleted the last element, isn't it? But what happens if we delete by using the delete keyword? Students, tell me the difference. What is the difference between deleting an element by using del and pop?
We can delete the position where we want to delete.
Yeah, if you want to delete a specific item, then you use delete. And if you want to delete the recently inserted element, then you use pop function. Okay, so that's about the list. Okay, and there is one more data type. Yesterday I didn't tell because of time constraint. That is tuple. There is one more data structure called as the tuple. So the difference between the, so okay, I'll show you tuple example. Open. List and tuple demo. Yeah. See, the difference between list and tuple is that the values inside the list are mutable. That means that can be changed. Whereas the values inside the tuple are immutable. Immutable means which cannot be changed. That is immutable. Okay. Now look at this one particular statement. How to create a list. Okay, now I'll show you another way of creating a list. Say for example, I want to create my list by name list1. List1 is equal to, okay, I into 3 for I in range of 0, 10. Okay. So it is creating. Now I'll display the value of this list1. Print of list1. Just you observe this and tell me so what it is displaying. Guys, observe this two statements and tell me what it is displaying. List1 is equal to I into 3 for I in range 0, 10. Print of list1. So what it is displaying? So it is displaying overall 10 values. By creating a list, it is creating a list of 10 values where values starting from 0 and there is a 3 number difference between each value. To indicate that there should be 3 number difference between each value, we use this I into 3. So that is the repetition operation. Okay, that is called as a repetition operation. Okay, for each of the iteration you repeat such that there will be 3 number increment in each iteration. There should be 3 number increment in each iteration. To indicate that here I use I into 3. Then to create 10 values, I have used this range of 0, 10. And I can do it in another way also. List 2 is equal to I into 3 for I in range of 5. Even if I give like this, If I do not give, okay, if I do not give 0, 10, so it will assume that I need to begin with 0 and I need to execute it 10 times. It is same as giving 0, 10. Print of list 2. Okay. So both are same. Okay, and I'll show you one more example how this will work. How the repetition factor will work. Now I want to display high 10 times. So what I'll do, instead of writing it 10 times, so this is a list actually into 3, sorry, into 10. 10 times I want to display. So now this is creating a list of high with 10 elements. All the 10 elements are high only. Got the idea why I use this repetition factor? So this is called as repetition factor. Students, any doubt in this? Students, hello? Surya Prakash, Abhinav, you got when to use this I into 3, this repetition factor? So this is one way of creating a list. Now look at this program. So now I am creating a list of 5 values. Each value, okay, between the values there is a difference of 3. That is, it will create 0, 3, 6, 9 and 12. 5 values will be created. This first line will create a list with values 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Overall 5 values. Okay, then print my list. Then, so how I will show you how to create a tuple. So see, tuple is also similar to a list. It is also similar to a list, but the main difference between tuple and the list is that the values of the list are mutable and the values of the tuple are immutable. Immutable means cannot be changed. So new tuple is equal to, tuple is the keyword, tuple of my new list. That means I am creating a tuple and initializing the list inside that. Okay, this is one way of creating a tuple. So, see here, already there is a list. I am converting that list into a tuple. This is one way of creating a tuple. And another way of creating a tuple is tuple2. Okay, give some name to the tuple that you want to create. So I am giving the name tuple2 and I am inserting the values. So there are 2 ways of creating a tuple. So the first option is, first you create a list, then convert it into a tuple by using tuple constructor. So now this is a constructor, tuple constructor. And another one, in the left side, declare some name of the tuple and okay, create it. Then how to insert the element? By using append. For the tuple also, by using the append function, you can insert the values. Now just look at the output. So append is not working with, okay, here append is not working. Hash. So therefore this why the append is not working with tuple? Any idea?
Tuples are immutable.
Yes, since tuples are immutable, it will give an error. Whereas when we try to insert an element into the list by using append function, So it was successful, isn't it? Because the list is mutable, so that's why we can apply append and we can reinsert. But in case of tuple, since it is immutable, we cannot deal with append function because it will throw the error. Look at here the error. Attribute error, tuple object has no attribute append. That means it is telling that there is no attribute like append, so please don't use that append function. So anything you want to ask students here? Now tell me when you will use tuple and when you will use list. When you have a fixed values, you use tuple, and whenever you have a requirement wherein you may add new elements after some time, if that is the requirement, you should use list. Then we should keep in our mind that whenever we use tuple, we should not use append function as it will result in an error, since it is immutable.
Sir, can we use delete function here?
Delete you can use. Okay, let us see. That also will. Okay, we'll try. Delete. So which element? See in the tuple 2 we have hello, 1by MCA, 0, 1, 3 and 2020. So which element you want to delete? Let us try. Let us delete the USN. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I'll try to delete the USN. Let us see what is going to happen. Tuple 2 of, so what is its index? Index value 1, isn't it? Index value of hello is 0, 1by MCA 0, 1 is 1. Okay, Control S, execute. No. Why it is not supporting? See, if you insert or delete, that means you are making a change into the existing tuple, isn't it? It won't allow any change. It won't allow any change. That's why neither you can delete nor insert. Both insertion and deletion is not possible. So whatever while creating the tuple itself, you decide what are all the elements that you want to put. So in one shot you have to finish it. Later on you cannot delete and you cannot enter. Okay, so we stop it here. I will send the quiz later. After some 30 minutes I will send you. Thank you. Anything you want to ask, students? Students, anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'll send the quiz.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir.